Anytime, it doesn't matter day or night. Shani, we'll give you light and love. We're coming on without a doubt. There's nothing you can talk about with Shani. Welcome to another episode of the Sharing with Shani Show. We only have 4 episodes left for 2020. So thank you for joining us today. Four more. And so I have a very special guest, co-author, friend. We'll get into how we met in a minute. But Milton Dickerson is our special guest tonight. But we still have our resident wellness whisperer in the house, Miss Mika Fresh, who had a birthday last week. Happy birthday! How did you have? Did you have a good birthday?
I did.
Awesome.
I did. It was funny. It was interesting. The plan was to be in Puerto Rico,
Right.
and the initial flight got canceled, and then all the rest of the flights were, astronomical prices. And so it just didn't happen. I figured God was like, nope, you ain't supposed to be there right now.
Right.
So because I really did everything in my power to try to get there. It didn't work out. And what ended up happening was I had an outdoor movie night with my family,
Nice.
and we had this huge projector screen. It really was comparable to a movie theater screen set up in my backyard, and I would say a lot of things went wrong, and we still had fun. And
Right.
so I just felt like, I was being tested for something, not really quite sure what just yet, because I
Right.
have a lot of patience. But maybe, just to be grateful. I feel like when things go that wrong, there's a lesson, right?
Right.
It took an hour to put air in an inflatable pool. That's not normal.
Right.
Right. So, oh, but we had a lot of fun, and I got to watch Home Alone outside on the big screen in my backyard.
I was about to
It was
ask you
really
what movie
fun.
did you see?
It was really fun. Home Alone
Yes,
one.
that's the best one.
Home Alone 1. Yes.
Awesome. Well, I'm so grateful for another year around the sun for you, and of
Thank you. So
course,
am I.
I think anybody that was able to celebrate a birthday during 2020 need, you
Give
celebrate it
extra
the way.
praise. Extra
Yes,
praise.
exactly. One of my favorite people has a birthday coming up on Wednesday, and he's so nonchalant about it. Like,
Hmm.
and I'm so over the top with it. Like, but
That's
it's your
me.
birthday.
Somebody called me a birthday snob. I don't really know what that means though.
But it's your birthday though. Like you have to like and
Exactly.
like you were born. Like you should give celebration for that.
Yeah, I was like, "Are you not happy that I'm here on Earth?
Right.
Like, why my birthday snob?" I'm really particular, and then my friends asked me. I have a good friend whose birthday is also in November. Hers is before mine, and her mom coordinated a surprise, birthday drive up, and we were doing, our little girl circle, and they asked me how did I celebrate my birthday, and I told them, and I said, yeah, everything that could go wrong went wrong, and I wound up making like a last minute run to Best Buy, like 15 minutes before they closed, and I just bought all the adapters because nothing was working, and they were like, I said it took us like 4 hours to set up, and they were like, yeah, because y'all got to do everything so big, and I was like, what does that mean?
Right.
How do you guys look at me? Like,
Right.
how do you see me? How do you experience me? So it's interesting to hear, how people experience you. But birthdays were always a big deal growing up in my household. My mom made a really big deal about them. No matter, what our financial situation was, she
Mhm.
really did. There was always a card, and she actually, my mom does not cook nor bake, actually would make a either a Duncan Hines boxed cake or Betty Crocker boxed cake,
Listen,
just all depending on what was on sale for 99 cents.
right. My mother was a cook. Like she could
Mhm.
burn in the kitchen, but she was not a
Okay.
baker.
Uh-huh.
But one year she made a chocolate mayonnaise cake. I know it might sound
No, mayonnaise and chocolate and baking. Yeah, I heard that before.
but it was so good. It's so moist. Actually,
Mhm.
mayonnaise makes your cakes moist.
Yeah.
But birthdays were big in growing up for me too.
Yeah.
My mother constantly reminded me that I was wanted, right? Like
That's
how
nice.
like that I was I was a playing child,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Like that and so yeah, so it's just in me to be like really excited for people's birthday because I
Mhm.
feel like even if you didn't grow up having been told that, if I know you, then
Mhm.
it's a big deal.
Yeah. I wonder, I do kind of wonder what is up under, people not wanting to celebrate their birthday. I don't know, maybe it's the therapist in me, but I'm always curious, like, are you, anxious about getting older? Are you not wanting attention on yourself? Is there a sad memory attached? What would be the reason you would not want to celebrate having made it through another year?
Yeah.
Because to me, that at the simplest of it, it really is that I made it another year. God saw fit for me to see one more year.
I don't have a I don't have a tambourine or like a clapping
Yeah,
clapping
yeah, I
sound.
got you. It's
But yeah,
okay.
that's where you would clap.
Right.
We'll snap our fingers.
Okay.
But absolutely, absolutely.
Maybe that's just my gratitude, Shawnee. I
Yes,
don't know.
I agree.
I'm not mad, but I'm like you. If you're around me, if I know you, we're gonna make it a big deal.
Yeah. So last week we talked about your mindset determines your focus. We got
Mhm.
off topic with that and was talking about started talking about relationships.
It was a good
Got a lot.
conversation.
It was about marriage and stuff, and we
Yeah.
got a lot of feedback. So at the top of the year, we got to do a show on relationship matters.
Okay. I'll say yes.
Yes. So what is our whisper for this week as we
I'll
go?
be honest and say I don't really have one.
Okay.
Considering what this week, right? Thanksgiving, whatever that means for you. You can get super black on me and call it, Indigenous Day or whatever, right? It's a
Right.
holiday. Um, and I think a lot of people, make that celebration whatever they need for it to be. In my particular family, we use it, not in the commercial sense, but we do. It's a day off, so we take advantage of it, but we definitely show gratitude and express our thanks to each other. It's like the one day I'm okay being mushy, that day and New Year's Eve, because again, another reason to be grateful. I made it. Oh, y'all not gonna want to see me when 2021 comes. If I'm here when the clock strikes 12, it's gonna be over. But anyway, I just want to check in with people. There has been a lot of loss this year. There are people that have expressed, just a lot of grief, a lot of mourning, and quite frankly, not feeling so festive. And I know sometimes pain and confusion and anger, some of those strong emotions can lead us to believe there's not anything to be thankful for or not enough to be thankful for. But I would like to just kind of check in with people and find out how they're feeling. They still have some hope, but also to encourage them and to let them know, like, God is still great. He really, really is.
He really is.
Yeah. And I know that we don't often understand his will or his ways, but I'm never gonna second guess him. I'll share with him how I feel. I talk to God like I'm talking to one of, you know, an esteemed friend. It's casual, but it's respectful.
God talks to me like sometimes like very look
Direct.
yes.
He knows what we need.
Like I didn't say like he'll be like I didn't tell you to do that. Or he'll be like I already answered this.
Oh, ooh. That sounds like something I would say. Didn't I
Uh,
answer that already?
Did I already look,
I'm so glad God is not like me.
I'm
And
so
I get to be
right.
like him, right? Because yeah, there'll be sometimes like people have these prayers and I'm like,
But
you still praying?
but then he
Did
knows
he answer you?
it's so crazy because then he knows when I need like comfort.
Yeah.
Like he knows when I need stern talking to.
Yeah.
And when I need comfort.
Yeah. That's like the best friend ever.
Ever.
Right? That is the mind reader. He is the mind reader. We want all our friends and our loved ones, you know, and our spouses and partners to be mind readers, and they're not. And God is the mind reader. Yes. I'm grateful for that.
Yes.
For real. Yeah. Because sometimes I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
As many words as I have, like I'm audacious, I say it. But there are just times where I'm like, I don't know, but God, you do. So work that out for me.
I was hitting these professional roadblocks like all year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all year, like one no after another no, and I was like, what do all these no's mean? And for me to get a no professionally, right? Yeah. Like it was so strange for me.
Yeah,
because I've come to understand them more in personal relationships than in professional ones.
Okay.
That's where I shine.
Okay.
Like, tooting my own horn. So when I was getting these no's, I was like, what does this mean? Right.
Yeah.
Like after the 5th no, I started taking inventory.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But then I got a 6 no because I and when I say I started taking inventory, I really wasn't taking inventory. I just thought I was.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it could be something there, but I don't want to go down that road because, right. By the 10th no, I was just like I literally, it was like me and who was fighting with the angel?
Jacob.
Yep. I had a Jacob experience.
Yeah. I have a lot of those.
Listen. I'm like, we are not, I'm not going to
God,
bed.
I'm not letting you go. Pretty much.
Right? And then like literally the next day I got a yes. Because I think he knew I was tired. Right? But he was waiting for me to surrender.
Ha.
Listen. So
that S word, S word, right? Sometimes that word, woo. Listen, oh my God. I was just thinking about that over the weekend. I said, I'm strong. I'm resilient. And there are times where that can get in the way because I'm also analytical. So there are times where I'm like, you know, I think I'm not tapped in. I haven't created the space where I can hear him clearly because I'm operating within my own mind, you know, of what I think he wants me to do. Yeah, I didn't ask him. It's a bad habit. It's a really bad habit. I'm getting better though. And so I know that there have been times where I can convince myself that, you know, a particular challenge is there to make me stronger, right? And then it'll get, you know, like harder and harder and harder. And I'm like, okay, all right. He won't put more on me than I can bear. You know, like all of these scriptures trying to hype myself up. And then I'll sit there, you know, completely exhausted, completely just no mas, you know, just there's nothing left. I don't want no more.
Right.
And then I'll be like, all right, you know what, God, I'm done. I'm done. I don't know if I'm supposed to be done, but I'm done. I give up.
Right.
Apparently I'm not doing this right. And like you said, then there comes the blessing. And I just be
Yes.
like, wait, was that what that is that what was supposed to happen?
Right.
So, my whole thing uh for moving forward really is to get out of my own head. There are more than enough moments that I realize I am in my own head. This is not about faith or God or lessons or any of that. This is, Tamika, this is all you. This is
Right.
you in your head. Chill out. Your
Right.
intelligence is not going to get you into everything and out of everything. Stop it.
Amen.
And I really want to stop it because I don't want to get to a point where he removes those things and then I have none. That's not a good look.
Trudy Trudy says surrender, submit, and shut up. Oh child, those three S's.
That
and,
sounds like something I say to my daughter.
and then she said, God is super great. And
Super great.
super great. It looks like
Yes.
Milton's mom is watching us too, Sharon. So she said,
Aw.
yep. So um yeah, so we want to hear from you. How are you doing? We have so after tonight's show, we'll have 3 shows left.
Mhm.
We're headed into the holiday season. This could be a very difficult time for a lot of people. Just even, just having to do something new and different, right?
You want to know something? My day job, I work for Anthem. I'm a care coordinator. This time is even more difficult this year because a lot of entities that normally do, so think about like adult psychosocial centers, that usually do a Thanksgiving meal, Christmas gift exchange, or holiday gift exchange. I'm gonna say Christmas, a Christmas gift exchange. Those things have been canceled this year. They have been canceled, and not only have they been canceled, there was no step in. They didn't do an alternative version of that. Like, oh well, you guys can come pick up, a plated meal or a meal to go. They didn't do any of that. It was just like, it's over. And so I get a lot of phone calls, not just for my day job, just in general, because I have the nonprofit as well. Are you guys giving out Thanksgiving baskets? Are you doing, last year we had a really big Thanksgiving dinner. None of that is happening this year. And so it's really difficult. A lot of people, like I said, we had a lot of loss. People lost their jobs, people lost lives, people lost a lot this year. And there really hasn't been a substitute. So this is the time, for those that can give, is like, we got to really dig in deep. It's a sacrificial giving this time. Usually we just give a little bit off the top, but I think this is the year we're being called to really sacrifice. But it doesn't come back unmet, because you can't beat God's giving. So that's where we are.
You can't beat God's giving
Nope.
matter
No
how
matter how hard you try.
right. All right.
I love that song. It's like
Yeah,
a challenge for me.
right. You want to drop your comments in the drop your thoughts in the comments of the live, and join us over the next 3 weeks while we talk about this. um Trudy said another S. What was the other? What was the?
It was surrender, submit, and shut up, right?
Yeah, then she said another S.
Oh, okay.
What was the other S, Trudy? Can you let us know? I'll be forgetting.
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice. Yes. Thank you. All right, Mika, tell people where they can find you in these social media streets.
Yeah, just meet Mika Fresh. It's on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Awesome.
So that's on my to-do list,
What?
to awaken to awaken my YouTube channel.
Yay!
Everybody home, why not, right?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming. Are you going to stick around for a couple?
For a little bit, yeah. I got to find out why this gentleman on the line, he's been smiling the whole time. So I got to hear some of that spirit. What's going on?
Oh, so Milton Dickerson. We'll get into how I met you later, but Milton grew up in DC, was raised in North Carolina, went to North Carolina Central, right?
North Carolina Central. Mm-hmm.
Okay, North Carolina Central, was an educator, started his own company, Mold Impact, that helps with men, right? Motivational speaker, talking to young men, Black men, churchmen, right?
All men, everybody. It's part of the African diaspora,
I'm thinking like I really, and look in the background. So my studio audience gonna say, "Bye, mom." Like I was doing too much. But anyway, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Milton Dickerson to the show tonight. How are you?
I'm doing great, Shani. How are you?
I'm doing well. So it seems that we're getting extra feedback. Is somebody on 2 devices, or are you on Facebook and something else?
I turned it off. I had somebody else in the house. They were on sharing. Okay. I told them to turn it off. Is this better?
It's just like being on the radio. Like when you call in the radio to get your free tickets and they say turn the radio down. It's the same concept.
Yeah, say call and turn your radio down, huh?
It's the same thing. Like you still get that audio feedback. So
I'm good.
Tell us about yourself in your own words.
Well, and Mika, how are you doing? I do apologize for smiling. I should have went off when I noticed.
Apologizing for smiling for.
It's my gift.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I will share, that I consider myself a gift to the world. We all are. And once I embraced that, I learned that my spontaneity, that I'm loyal, and also I would say patient. And those were the 3 words that I came up with to kind of caveat or create a descriptive of who I am. Educator, life coach, you name it, motivational speaker, former teacher, the person that you call to, I call it a pocket preacher, if you would. The person that you need to pick up in that moment that you're down and out, you call me. So that's who I am, Shani, in short.
Awesome. Somebody is on live talking about you better smile. Check out the comments later. I ain't trying to play matchmaker on my show,
Hey, look, let me know, huh? It goes down in the end, huh?
Let me know.
That's it. No, okay. So we're gonna get right to it because we actually met at I was trying to do the entrepreneur thing. I only had one client, and I needed money working as a bartender at Salatai. It's a restaurant in DC near where you worked, and you and your coworkers used to come in there for happy hour. And we just started talking, and once you found out I was writing a book, or I had written a book, I think my book was already out. Like, you kept coming back every day asking me a book question.
Every day. Shani, it wasn't a drink, I promise you, and but not really.
Long Island. I make good Long Island. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, not really. Yes, that's exactly how we met, because it was like a meeting from heaven. The Solid Tower was my outlet. And so running into you, it was a situation that I found like it was a springboard. I'm writing. I wrote a book. I think you wrote your book and were working on the one that we shared.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, it was a situation we was having communion every Sunday or every day at the bar. So it came from conversations from life to hurdles, all kinds of things, and then you popped the big question.
Like, you want to be in my book?
Yeah, I was like, me? No. Yeah, that's how we met. I mean, it was at an interesting point in my life. because I was journaling before, so I was very interested. So you hooked me at a good moment.
Yeah, I always find it interesting that that like along my journey, like bartending, I bartended all through college and my early 20s, everything. So that wasn't new to me, but having to go back, even though I had I knew where God was taking me and I knew what I was supposed to be doing. Like I didn't feel like it backwards, although a lot of people did. Like when I took that job, a lot of people like, you're gonna go bartend? I would never do that. Right? I was just like, so God not at the bar? Like I was just like confused, like he not gonna be there? Like
Right.
And so I think one of the reasons why I wanted to highlight that is the fact that I got a lot of judgment for for going there on weekends and bartending. But when I met you and we started to talk, and I felt like I was a gift to you through my own story, and one of my favorite scriptures is we overcome by the Lamb and the power of our testimony.
That's right.
I felt like that was coming alive, like I was living that out in real time. And so for me, I was like, no, this is definitely a God moment. It didn't matter.
Right.
It didn't matter that it was at a bar.
Right. I echo that, Shani, and we said we put a caveat, we would go deep. So it was a moment in my life that I actually was suffering from alcoholism. And so I don't know if I shared that with you, or you could tell by the behavior, but no, it was a moment that I was going through like the craziest time of my life, where at the time, I guess at the time, the craziest time at my life. I'm gonna start saying that now forward, right? Because 2020 has been crazy, but it was a moment that where I found solace in the bar. I don't even think that I was actually going to drink, but mostly to have that engagement, because it was lunchtime, and lunchtime turned into closing your shift out, and it was feeding. And I remember like people would even join the bar and join in on the conversation. So it was like having church, if you would. Is that safe to say now?
Yes, you can say that.
Outside of the traditional walls. So I definitely thank you for sharing that moment with me, because it created where I am right now. It was the incubator where I was at, and now, you were taking the bar job and I was teaching at the moment. However, you were where I wanted to be, and so it was God ordained.
Yeah. Yeah, so walk us through that. Walk us through your journey. Like, how did you come out of? I mean, are you still? Is it an everyday struggle with the alcoholism? Like, what like you want to share a little bit about?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this is the place, right? These are one of the conversations you can't talk about in church, because the most church constitutions say you don't supposed to drink and smoke, right? But no, really. It was during the time, could you imagine, I lost a car, my grandfather, godfather, pastor, I just moved. So there was a lot of transitioning going on in my life, and I was actually in a career that I loved. I fell in love with, I loved when I started, but I fell out of love very, very quickly. And so I was trying to transition and figure out things. And so the only answer was a Patron bottle. so that was the only thing that kind of at that moment soothed. And it got to the place, when I finally moved out of my family's house into my own space, I found like liquor bottles stuffed up, tucked away. I was like, dang, it was that bad? Yeah, it was that bad. So it was a coping mechanism, if that makes any sense. So when, and going back to that bar, we're going to hang at that bar. That moment was the place where I met was reintroduced to the fact that, I can find peace and happiness, not even in the drink. It was in the conversation and the hope and the joy that, you were there. And I remember you telling me, hey, look, this is my part-time. He's the same person you are right now, joking and like, yeah, I'm just doing this for right now. Right, so it almost gave me a hope, if you would.
I thank you for sharing that, Milton, because I never knew. I never knew what you were dealing with when you were in it. And I think that's a testament of just meeting people where they are. And what this whole show stands for, about sharing light, being the light, when being authentically you, because you just never know, like, if you're going to be the planter or the waterer, right? But all you know is that God provides the increase, and all I was doing was being light. Like I'm gonna go and just let my little light shine.
That's right. That's the crazy thing, and most people choose the church because I guess that's the easiest place, or choose the pulpit. But could you imagine, how many people that you impacted in that moment? I don't know how long you stayed there after I left that particular job, but just the fact, even if it was just my soul, but the fact that you had that opportunity, and I thank you for it.
Thank you. Okay, so what's been happening since? I know you like this book. Do you have your book out?
You know I got it just like the Bible. I tell everybody, order yours today. Right. Yes.
What's been going on since the book came out? It's been 2 years.
2 years. In the last 2 years, I've transitioned out of the classroom. Yay! I almost wanted to shout. You don't have the praise music? No, I transitioned out of, there you go. Thank you, Mika. There you go. Now you got the smile. I transitioned out of the classroom. It was almost like a divorce, really, because I had put 15 years of my life into education, into going into a traditional building and engaging as a history teacher. So then while I took about 120 days off and went fast and trying to find the actual answer, what do I do at this pivotal point in my life? So I decided to open Mo Impact Educational Services, which is designed to educate people in the Black diaspora. It's evolving into like a history, African diaspora, introducing us to ourselves. My mom, I think you shared a few moments ago, she's online, but listening to her and being around different people, realizing that we really do not know our history. So being that the appropriate term would be griot, G-R-I-O-T-O, that'd be the appropriate term, but I don't even feel honored to call myself that, but as a historian, being able to create that conversation. So I have the YouTube channel, Moment of Impact, every mostly spontaneously, but it's Mondays and Wednesdays I come on live, and in the moment, one moment I'm talking about love, and I saw you were talking about mind over matter is what I shared last week, but you were talking about mindset from your show. So being able to look at your mind, your body, and your soul, or your mind, emotion, and soul. That's what my company is focusing on, and realigning and us back to our original, the roots of who we are, people of the diaspora.
Yeah, because unless you have the privilege of going to college, you don't know. We don't learn our history. And even in the college, I gotta be honest, a lot of stuff I learned was well after Hampton.
I'm with it. And I guess it's like, for me, it's like, it's a pain, but then it's a pleasure because I enjoy, Hidden Figures was like, oh God, but there's 1,000 other stories we can talk about, and being able to almost encourage everybody in every walk of life, there was an exemplar, an example to accomplish whatever you design, going back to our birth purpose, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. We're talking live with Milton Dickerson. If you have a question or comment, you can, I keep saying that. I keep saying you can press 1 on your phone now. Not on the phone anymore. We're not on the radio, Shani. Stop.
Dial-up days are over, right? Dial-in days.
If you have a question, you can drop it in the comments. I do want to shout out. Says, I'm still getting the feedback. I don't know if y'all are, but I still.
Are we still getting feedback?
Yeah, it's not as bad, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm turned off over here. It may not be me this time.
So Trudy says, a lot of us don't know our history. Thank you, Dawn, for watching out of New York. Thank you. Oh, they said they are getting the feedback too.
Is there anything that I need to do on my end? I know I'm completely off.
I don't think so. Maybe,
okay.
If I stop talking, then I won't know.
It's coming from you, Shani. It's only when you talk.
When I talk?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, she me.
This is where I'll be like, we so bootleg. To ask them, are y'all on Facebook or something? Okay. All right.
That's okay.
I think that's a little better. But just anything.
We're gonna work with what we got, right?
Yeah. That's right. Let's keep going.
Oh, she said we can keep pushing, Shani. We can deal with it.
Yeah,
that's right.
We get real distracted by that.
I know. Richard Dickerson is watching. So thank you for watching. If you have a question, you can drop your question in the comments. And we will get to it. So tell us any upcoming events that Mo Impact is doing.
I'm actually working on a Black Heritage History musical. And crazy thing is, I'm sitting in the living room with a good friend of mine, McDaniel Roberts, a principal dancer. And once we get finished, we're meeting to finish that out. And it's basically taking our history and introducing it through the arts. I wrote the book, Sharing Our Prayer, and a lot of people purchased it and read it. But I realized that the move of technology is being able to do what we're doing right now. So with society, I said move of technology, but move of society. So we're working on creating about 4 acts, being able to introduce the African experience or Black experience through music. So that's one of the major things we're working on. I'm excited about that. I've also been around the city doing different pop-up lectures and so on and so forth. So Shani, I'm excited. I'm in Carolina right now with my nieces and nephews, and I've been doing like life lessons. We talked about apartheid and segregation, putting that language in our mouths. What we've been talking about slavery. We've been talking about these different things, just making sure that we can create this current conversation so we can move forward.
Yeah, I think it's important that the history doesn't get lost. And it reminded me of a few years ago, we honored I do the Indie Author Legacy Awards with Publisher Gift Publishing Company, and one of the winners, we didn't know at the time when he was selected to win that he had passed away. He wrote this book about his activism in Tennessee. Like he was known in Tennessee, but he wasn't a household name. But he spent his entire life fighting for injustice and in the civil rights movement. And he wrote this book, and he wrote it for his grandchildren, because he said his grandchildren didn't know all the things that he did. And his 3 daughters, when he passed away, finished the book. The book hadn't been published, and so they got his manuscript all together and published a book. And I bring this to bring this home, to bring this point home, is that in their acceptance speech, they talked about how important it is to let our children know of the history.
That's right.
Right. And that even as far, and that because someone had said, and I know this is a great debate among us, when a movie comes out and it's based on actual events, right? But it's like the same story of some type of some type of
oppression.
That's right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whether it's Pride, whether it's, like whatever movie, right? Like, like especially when that movie came out, like people were just kind of like, do we have to have another oppression movie? And I don't know how I feel personally, but what is your thoughts?
Yeah, Shani, I definitely think it's time for us to move the needle of the conversation. And even before we move that needle of conversation is the actualization of owning the conversation in our community. Um, we almost compartmentalize every aspect of our lives and almost lose the essence of who you are. So it's like being able to, I'd readily identified, the Black experience, what we've done, and it goes well beyond oppression. Most of the oppression came from the outside, not in. So once we understand that, you can be able to say, okay, look, well, I can be a lawyer, or I can be a doctor, or I can't, whatever these ideas. So being able to clear that idea that you're not oppressed anymore. One. and two, in the climate that we're in, is being able to educate the interactions, Black, white, others, if you would, and say, hey, look, this is not the life anymore. This is what can happen with this environment. Mm-hmm. Did it make sense?
Did it make sense?
Yeah.
I get the gist of it, honestly. I think it's important. I'm still on the fence about it. I don't know. I mean, in terms of movies, because I look at movies for entertainment,
mm-hmm.
right? But I think it also should be educational as well.
Right.
So I go into it just looking at it possibly differently.
From a different, and that's the thing, and that's why my job is so important, because it's like when there's a common conversation of like mathematics, most people aren't able to say, oh yeah, that actually did come from the continent of Africa, and we are able to definitively say, I forgot the lady's name, Catherine, with the Hidden Figures, been able to trace that line. If I could trace that line in my everyday life, I'm actually motivated. Billy, even my fact of stepping out and being a business owner, I consider George Jefferson as my first example.
Right.
So it's like seeing what you want, or being able to see who you are, and clearing up that conversation, like we use media or entertainment, or as the medium to express or understand, or the arts to understand our everyday interactions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think representation does matter. And I would say this, I think we need to control our own story.
Hey.
Right? Like, yeah, I think that is that's what I miss in the telling of these stories, is that oftentimes they're not from us.
Mm-hmm.
They're about us, but they're not from us.
May I interject something too?
Yes.
Because you so a part of what you said is what I was gonna say. It's important that everybody does their job. And what I mean by that is Hollywood does their job, right? They put out media, they make their money. If everybody, especially within the Black community, is doing their job, then these particular medias that come out really are just prompts They're a prompt for a conversation, right? That should be driven by us. They are a prompt for motivation and encouragement and things like that. I don't think we should ever give them so much weight, that we assume those things. They are rarely ever 100% accurate.
Right.
Okay. They are, like Shani said, for entertainment. And when we think about entertainment, that perception changes, as we do, as people do, right? When you look at, I'm an 80s baby. So when I look at the TV that I grew up with, the shows that I grew up with, the Cosby Show, A Different World, Saved by the Bell, TGIF, I can name the whole original lineup to the last lineup. TV is very different now because what we are demanding is different. So you got even the beginning of reality shows have changed. You know what I'm saying? MTV Cribs was a reality show, right? We had Friendlier. I don't know if anybody ever remembers Surreal Life. I used to love that show.
I think I do.
I used to love that show. It was pretty good. It was taking a whole bunch of different people. My favorite season is when Flavor Flav was roommates with Dave Coulier, I think is how you pronounce his name, but Joey from Full House. They were roommates, right? Two most opposite people that you would think, and they learned a lot from each other. But I learned a lot about people, about those people, those characters on the show. But that was reality TV, and look at what we have now. And so I think a lot of times we as Black people don't understand, and also consumers, we don't understand our power of our voice and how we demand change, right? Inadvertently, but looking at what that change is. So when these movies come out, I know Shani ain't asked me, but I'm gonna share it. When those movies come out, me personally, I am over it just because I grew up, I know a lot of y'all said, unless you went to college, you probably didn't learn this stuff. I did. I was like the 8-year-old that had to read these thick books, and I had to do a whole book report on it before I was allowed to go outside. It sucked then, but I am really grateful for it now.
Yes.
And I knew about the people, that they weren't teaching in schools, but I was also very outspoken. And so I used to challenge, my Black teachers and my Black assistant principal, like, look, can we get something else on the menu besides MLK and Rosa Parks? Can we stop pitting Malcolm X against Martin Luther King?
Right.
Like, we so over it, it's like Monica and Brandy. We so over that. Can we get some love? Can we get some unity? But it's our job. If we're all on our job, these movies have no weight for us. They really are just a prompt. It's an introduction to, okay, maybe you weren't familiar with the women in Hidden Figures. Let's take that and expound on it. Don't leave it right there.
It's definitely a prompt to go do your own research.
Right.
Anything. Anything. And I don't want to just limit it to just what this topic. I think with anything, I mean, our own Bible tells us to study to show thyself approved. We can take it outside of the Bible.
That's right. I suggest that to take it outside of the Bible, right, or your holy text. It's back to what Mika was saying, or kind of tying it in. It's being able to build and expound on where you are, reaching those people. I think about the community. At one time, we had access to the elders, had access to the teachers, had access to these persons to continue the conversation.
True.
And being of the diaspora, we tend to tell our stories and not read our stories, or see our stories. So
storytelling, yes.
That's a gift that we all have, or that lies in our community. And being able to, once you hear it, and we have the beautiful thing of being able to see it as well. So can you imagine this next generation? It's just being able to get in there and clear that 400, maybe 500 years of history, and what I mean by that is putting it in context and revisiting the kingship that we are.
That's a really good point. Put it in context. Yeah.
I need to Richard Dickerson says, if Hollywood didn't get the fact of the 10 Commandments right, don't even look for our story to even.
I know that's right. Because that was written clearly, right?
Right. It's cleaning up the ambiguity. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just gonna sit my
it's definitely cleaning up the ambiguity, and that's the beautiful thing about where I am, Shani. That's the history side of me, but then also the life coaching side of me, where I was limited as a classroom teacher. I can unlock the mind, and I also can discipline the body, but I was limited at the soul component, right? So being able to now be where I am now to not so much deal or engage with one of my clients to start there. Hey, you're a person of color. Did you know that? Do you know that your DNA and being able to see the person blossom from, meeting them at McDonald's, and there's no offense to no one that works at McDonald's, hear what I say. Being able to find somebody, let me say it this way, being able to find somebody not walking in their purpose and seeing them develop into the person of purpose. I said that way.
Yeah.
So that's the second part of me. So I take the history, kind of hook you, and then work on your soul, if you would, the preacher part of me.
You know what else? I was just thinking about when you said that. Something else that is really important, and this is I think one of the reasons why I shy away from some of those films, that come out, and I can't tell you the last one that I've seen, is because for me, identity is very important.
Very.
All right. And media is really strong. I watch, especially as a therapist, I watch the impact that media has on young minds, and not just them. I'm not singling them out, but for me, young people are the future, so they're important. And they're a target for me. I want to save them. I want to help them. I want to, protect them because they are the future, right? But identity is really important, and I really do like to shield myself from anything that tells me something other than what God told me. And that's just truth. And some of these movies, I think, can get into your psyche, depending on the type of person you are. You'll walk away thinking that that's all you have, was having been a slave and dealing with a struggle. You know what I'm saying? When even though, yes, that is something that we dealt with. We can't erase it. It's, it's not a myth. It happened, right? It was a very real thing. But the balance, the imbalance of what you're feeding me versus the whole story. So you tell me that I was a slave, right? And all the things that came along with that. Where are the success stories? So for me, encouragement is a really big thing. And I think for a lot of people, without encouragement, where's the hope? It's like, okay, now what? We forget about Black Wall Street. Earlier this year, we put on a Black History program, and for me, it was very important to highlight Black Wall Street. And I had no clue how many elderly people didn't know what it was.
Right.
Had no clue what it was, how successful we were, how many times that Black dollar circulated in our own neighborhoods.
Right.
And, the fruitfulness from that. And then what happened? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, if we're all doing our job, so for me, that's my job, right? To educate and to make sure you understand who God says you are, right? And understanding your history and the fullness of it, because your history didn't start here. in the United States of America. It
Right.
did not start here.
Mhm.
That's the importance, and that's why I don't put so much weight on those movies, because for one, you can't capture everything in a 2 hour, 3 hour. I don't care how many box sets you have. You know what I'm saying? You can't capture it all.
The gravity of building that experience, that past, right?
Exactly.
And taking the gravity of the past. So it takes a person, it takes the arts, it takes the teachers or persons, like you said, everybody to play their role to piece that story together for our generation to come. Not even to come, even our generation, because I'm an 80s baby too. Like there's a lot of us are lost. And it's like this is a moment in our time, with the pandemic. And speaking of the pandemic, it created space for us to take the time to listen and learn. So I hope that those persons that are listening, you're taking that moment too to listen and learn, like finding our history, because I mean there's a lot of stuff that comes out yearly, but there's a whole lot more, almost 365 days that you can actually say, and be in a better place than I'm a slave, or I'm a descendant of. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
Awesome. I don't want to cut this short, but our hour is up. And I do want people to support you, Milton. So where can they get your book and find more information about you?
Go to my website, moimpacteducationalservices.com. There's a drop down page where you can purchase the Sharing Our Prayers. I wanted to talk about I Am Matter too. I'm coming out with another book, Shani. I'm keeping it hush hush because it's still on the typewriter.
Okay.
but that Mo Impact
Education. Will it be out in 2021?
2021. Okay. 2021. That and Mo Impact, and then you can find me on Facebook, Milton Dickerson. I was about to say .com, but Milton Dickerson.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Milton, for joining us tonight. Thank you for everyone that's been listening. Sharon says, tell them to guard their eyes, ears, and soul. So that was the last comment. Trudy doesn't want us to leave, but we'll be back. 3 shows left. Next week, Baisha Gilliam L. will be talking about trauma to triumph. Sorry. Triumph to trauma. Trauma.
Flip it around.
To triumph.
There you go.
And she has
there you go.
Challenge that she will be doing about that, and she'll share more about that next week. And then first Monday in December, we'll have Kazia. She's a spoken word artist and writer.
I gotta get ready.
Yes, you gotta get ready. Get it ready. And then we're gonna close our 2020 with Dr. Oliver T. Reed. You are the solution. And so great lineup for the next 3 weeks. Thank you so much, Milton, for coming on tonight. As always, thank you, Mika, for coming on. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving and stay safe and
stay safe, people. Stay safe.
This is the Sharing with Shani Show, highlighting ordinary people working for extraordinary God, sharing love, light, and life. Thank you. God bless you, and peace.
Peace.
Peace.